Welcome to the buymeacoffee.com/JamesPoeartistry, the coffee tips page that supports my James Poeartistry creative productions and work. See also JamesPoeartistry.online.
Hello, Perceptive readers. This is James Lynch. I hope you, I always say this, I hope you had a nice start to your day. Some of you are already in the afternoon or maybe even evening here now. This is what I want to talk with you about today. And I'm glad to be able to actually take the time to do this because I wasn't planning on. But it's actually to help what I call people who are light workers and stuff, which I'm not going to say many of them don't already know. But recently, I heard of a person who already has a lot of credentials behind her. I want to emphasize it is a her, it is a female. And the thing about it is, people have paid attention um, uh, to her expressions, her poetry, uh, um, writing as well as verbally. You see what I'm saying? And they really look to her as being one who has a lot of insight. Well, I'm here to tell you, after more than 6 months now of observing this person, listening to what they have to say, and I'm not mentioning her name on purpose, okay? Um, and you're going to see why, because I'm going to get into why I'm not going to mention her name on purpose. Uh, and her writings. And I'm thinking, at the very least, though, when things you know, become organized in the way with James Poeartistry online, I wouldn't be surprised if I do highlight whether it's her poetry or something like that in the future. But not now. Now I'm getting into the reason why. One, it's because I've watched and observed over the years people be maneuvered in this way and that way. And this is something that she well knows. And the thing about it is, she was talking recently, okay? Talking recently about really telling her whole story from start to finish. I mean, and she making it seem like in depth detail and the truth and nothing but the truth and all this other stuff. Now, with that being said, let me go ahead and preface this again. I won't mention her name right now because it is still for her own psychological and spiritual protection. See, I've mentioned before, no matter what nobody else is telling you, Jehovah God, he wants his people sane. Uh, just by reading from the scriptures and things like that, any person even claiming to be a spiritual leader that insists on actually condemning the person for exercising their own conscience and their own personal boundaries and making it seem like they are wrong because they actually, like to have accurate information so that they cannot be maneuvered into doing all sorts of stuff that would totally be against not only against their conscience, but even against God. And to sit up there and still want to sit in the seat of Moses while practicing that type of sin, that's another reason why we have the Bible. See, I told you, people try to misconstrue as once you turn your life over to Christ, That it means even the persons who are over you as a shepherd, they still don't have the authority to just kill you. They don't have the authority to kill your conscience. And that's what they don't want you to know. But it's true. And you know I'm speaking the truth. That's why one of the reasons why they can't touch me. Oh, like I said, they can do it other ways. But for the ones who really want to know. So that's why I want to let you know, as persons who light workers, what it really boils down to still is, you know, people can have occupations. I like to always relate persons like Dr. Seuss and other writers from sci-fi to romance novels to um, what is it? I don't know why I always forget the ones that are really out there. Fantasy, yeah, and all that type of stuff. See, let me tell you, the reason why they don't like spiritual-minded people, people who really do know the truth, but can give illustrations and parables and things of that nature. Because remember again, uh, from what Jesus talked about at times, you can listen to his parables. And what was those parables? Those parables were based on principles. They weren't all literal and factually happened. You see, some of those parables. And so, would anybody say to Jesus, and they did sometimes, just speak to us plainly and this and that. And sometimes, guess what Jesus would reply? I have spoke to you and you still don't listen. And you say you still don't see. So the point is, he spoke in those parables because the ones who were sincere and really wanted to know, guess what? They were brave enough to talk to him. See, talk to him and ask him further questions, you see? And for the other ones who, like I told you, through innuendo and slander and gossip, try to get you to tell all your business, this and that, you know what I say again? It's none of their business. It's none of their business. And see, and that's part of the principle. And I ask you to please relate my podcast on trade secrets again, that's what these people don't want to accept. And they can call you rebellious. They can call you everything else. For the first part, I'm going to tell you how wicked their actions are. When they will actually sabotage your livelihood, sabotage your writings, corner you into this way and that, put you in a box where you have no choice but to come out fighting, and then try to make it seem like you're the bad person when they were the ones who were evil-minded in actions, and that's a fact. So I'm telling these persons who may be thinking that they got to tell their whole story from start to finish or this and that, to try to once again maneuver others to tell their own stories and stuff like that. I'm here to tell you again, you know what? Don't do that. And I'm always going to tell you, you can do what you want to do. But these persons that will push you to this, they have evil means and intentions behind it, which I won't even go into. And it has already, as I mentioned, hurt many people because of the simple fact that they make it seem like you should be telling all your business for this and that. And I'm not even, singling out any type of platform at all, because we need the internet, you see, for business today. And that has been spoken about now for years. And you know what? It has served a lot of people well until, again, some of the other individuals started putting in restraints that literally drove people out of business. Drove purposely so. And so now they still continue to shadow ban and have their accounts and stuff shut down. Just like I told you, even the official JamesPoeartistry TikTok account was shut down and stolen, you see. It's totally suspended indefinitely, and they make it sound like they're not gonna open that one back up. Why? Because one thing I will tell you, you heard this over the past couple of days or so, that every time my information is taken off, they find some way to to do this or do that to get it banned or shadow banned or what have you. And I say again, even for persons who are into authorities and things of that nature, but law and justice, that's actually something that normally they will become proactive in to at least get to the bottom of it or what have you. Whether they act on it or not, sometimes they'll just wait. They'll wait, you see, for the person just to go ahead and make a charge. But as I mentioned before, you can't make a charge according to what Jesus is saying if all you got is really hearsay. Otherwise, you would just be turning into another slanderer against somebody. You supposed to take steps. You are supposed to take steps, you see, in defense of what the truth happened to be. And so if already you have these persons who are abusing their authority as bullies, and they don't let nobody speak to you because their name has been slandered so bad, you know what? That's where you just still go ahead and rely on Jesus and Jehovah God to continue to do what they're going to do to resolve the matter. And I told you some matters end up escalating so out of control that the point is, if you really want to resolve it, it'll just take communication. You see, sometimes back and forth to really resolve, okay, how can we fix this in this area or that area? But for the persons who want to preserve this caste system of looking down on a person, you see, once they made up their mind, even though it's totally obvious to them, if they're a reasonable person, if they can still think because their envy and jealousy hasn't corrupted their mind, to know that they were just wrong in procedure and in so many other ways, but they won't do that, such individuals. So in closing, this is what I want to say to this bright-minded individual. You don't have to tell your whole life story, you see, out to persons and things of that nature. And because sometimes the reason being, and I will give you at least this little bit of information that I'll share with you. The reason being, sometimes people, it used to be like this for a lot of persons, where it's like, well, now because of this, I know why, how to help this person, sincerely help, know how to be understanding in this way or what have you. And see, and that's one reason why, I used to always share that poetry video called To This Day. Remember? To this day, about why this man now actually can't stand what was it, pork chops or what have you, because of a situation blown out of hand that was dealing with that situation, karate chops and stuff. In other words, made it seem like his mother, his grandmother was abusive towards him, and all he was doing was actually just making a joke. See, making a joke, and it got blown all out of proportion. And then guess what? And that's why he said to this day, now he hates. And I think it was pork chops or bologna sandwich. I think it was pork chops or what have you. But see, that's my whole point. Today, sometimes people hear things about you, especially if you talk about it. And if they're your friend, if they sincerely appreciate who you are, then, they just take it and just, that was interesting, or this and that, you see. But for the most part, you got too many snakes in the spiritual realm and physical realm that would take, if you talk about totally what you've been through, and they will mess you up or try to mess you up and capitalize on your mind and your spirit in such a way where the highly intelligent and spiritual minded person that you are and turn into the day, they got a way to actually just break and twist that. And let me use that expression. Use this expression. Sometimes people call persons that don't think on this level normals or normies. See, they actually call them that. And the thing about it is, this is what I want to let you know. That's why I said, never feel so confident. I mean, feel confident in yourself, but never feel so confident that you can literally be impervious to the attacks of the head honchos in the spirit realm themselves to break and crack your mind. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so you don't want to, in this case, you don't want to put certain things to the test. You heard me talk about this before, that you don't have to. And on the level that some of you are on, you may not have all these worldly powers of authority, but at least mentally and spiritually of your sanity of thought, you still very much have that, even though these other ones with evil intentions try to make it seem like you don't, because you are thinking clearly, you see. And the only reason, if so, in a lot of these cases, that you may have done even something bad to somebody, if that's what they want to say, it was because of a lack of information, most likely on that. So that's why you proceeded to do and carry out matters, you see, even if it, sometimes, like I said, it can affect your own, look, I got to do what I got to do to make a living and to make it big. Yeah, I know. They certainly got a way of still, I told you, of maneuvering people into situations where situations that wouldn't even become as attractive as they are now. It's all because they deprived you of what you needed in the first place. And if they would have deprived you and maneuvered you into this way or that way, then guess what? Then you probably wouldn't have even been tempted to take this choice of this or that. And I realize you will understand why. Because I know this is one person over the past several speeches, documentaries, if you will, vlogging, if you will, has stated something along the lines of they just wasn't, sure if their messages that they were giving were clear in this and in that way or what have you. And I'm here to tell you today, not one of the messages that I've seen over the past 6 months was confusing. They were articulate. They had personal views. Some of them had a lot of facts spiritually. And I can state this for the record, just because others don't understand it at times, you see, it doesn't mean someone won't understand in the future. All it would take is for them to have some more, quiet time or walking in the park or what have you. See, and that's what's missing for a lot of persons today. They don't get some of these deeper spiritual matters because they're too busy, like osmosis, being around persons. And what happened is it just becomes, feeding off one emotional and spiritual view and feeling. And it's just all going around and around. And the person really can lose themselves in having that much of a overcrowding, overbearingness on their mental psyche, you see, and even spirit. So the whole point that I want to say is, no, everything that a person like that, like I'm describing, who may feel that a message is not articulated correctly this way or that way, I can tell you I guess it has to be my personal opinion. This individual has spoken in those types of ways. And again, I understand when persons like who I'm mentioning are in these type of situations, oh yeah, they have to deal with a lot and a lot of pressure, a lot of head games and mind games and stuff like that. And then, and so I say again, when persons like that may have made mistakes in their life for this way or that way, that's why I said you can understand the mitigating circumstances that all of us humans on this earth are facing and going through. And that's why I like to emphasize again, where sometimes people will learn of a situation about this or that, and then and they're quick to keep saying comma, 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 and then wondering why God not doing this. I'll say this or reference Jesus. Why Jesus didn't do that? Because of the simple fact, the reality of the matter is this, whether people want to accept it or not. We are maneuvered so much at times that we even thinking that we still got ourselves together. And the sin that's in our body is triggered to do this or do that at times. And that's one of the reasons why we, you see, continue to pray and develop our relationship with Jehovah God through his son, Jesus Christ. Because they are the ones that even give us the Holy Spirit and the strength to do what's right, even when it's not even in us. But we at least gotta have, have the willingness to even try, to even pray for them to keep on helping us in that way and to keep our sanity. So in closing, you know what? Whenever they say, you have to set the example now, tell all your business, stuff like that, and stuff like that, I want to emphasize one more time, you know what? In this day and age, to somebody that you might be sincerely helping or talking to over coffee or personally, you could see that, okay? But to just do it just to prove a point to these very persons who already got these ulterior motives and they think they so slick, and that's why they wouldn't want you just going ahead and writing a person like me and have correspondence through that way. I guarantee you it'll help you more than to sit up there and keep listening to some of these individuals who ain't nothing but a bunch of jackals and wolves in sheep clothing. So, with that being said, it's none of their business. It's none of their business. Take care of yourself.